Now we will again begin from the properties of a oil. Now these are the 10 properties of the oil: incompressibility, lubricity, viscosity index, pour point, flash point, anti-wear and anti-rust property, anti-foaming property, demulsibility, and it is actually nature, and it is a property of oil. Incompressibility, we know this property. It is the ability of oil to not to deform by the volume with the application of forces. Application of force, there should not be any change in a volume or a density. It is called as a incompressibility property. Now next property is the lubricity. The oil should have sufficient lubricating property. This oil should stick to the surface, metal surface, so that there should not be any wear or a removal of a surface material because of the friction between the surface. This property is called as a lubricity. It reduces wear and tear. Excessive wear changes the dimensional tolerance, which causes the improper functioning or failure of part. It also causes increase in a increases it also increases the possibility of leakage. For example, wall and spool, piston rings, bearing and various moving part, either to and fro motion or a rotary motion. This there is a possibility of wear and tear, and this can be avoided by using property of a lubricity. We For the lubricity, we know mercury does not stick to the any surface. Yes, if you can take inside any glass pot, or in any other pot, or inside the hand also, but it does not stick to any surface. Whereas water, if we dip our hand inside the water, then water stick to the hand. So this is the lubricity property of a water. Now next property is the viscosity. Yes, optimum viscosity should be there. Again, viscosity index, it is the relation with the temperature. Viscosity index should be as high as possible. What is the viscosity index? It is the dimensional number which indicate the changes in a viscosity with change in a temperature. Pour point. Pour point of a liquid, it is the temperature at which it become a semi-solid, or it loses the flowing property, means it's solidify. This is the pour point. Yes, pour point should be less than the working temperature. Whatever the system operate at particular temperature, this is called as the working temperature, and the pour point should be less than the working temperature. Now next point is the flash point. Okay, what is the flash point? It is the lowest temperature at which liquid can form enough flammable vapor, or when initial flame occur, that temperature, it is called as a flash point. The temperature at which oil catches fire, the same thing is written. It should be as high as possible. Flash point should be a higher for the uh, hydraulic oil. This lower flash point means easy to ignite material, and it increases the risk. Now next property is the anti-wear and anti-rust property. The oil should have a anti-wear and anti-rust property. Oxidation in the chemical reaction in which oxygen combines with the other element, this oxidation causes the rusting. Yes, we know Fe, when get react with the oxygen, it form Fe2O3. This is nothing but the rust, ferrous oxide. So same thing is there. It is written, rusting and corrosion increases with the oxidation. Oil should be resistance to the oxidation to avoid the rusting and corrosion. Now next one is the anti-foaming property. Oil should not form a bubble. If there is a formation of a bubble, system already operate at a higher pressure, so this higher pressure causes the collapse of this bubble, and this collapse of a bubble causes the cavitation problem. Okay, so that is why it should have a anti-foam property. Next one is the demulsibility. It is the ability to release the water. This is the important when the system is operating in a humid climate. It separate out the water from the oil. Next property is the non-acidity and neutralization number. Non-acidity, it should not be acidic. Acid can cause the reaction with the metal, various metal part, so it should not be acidic. Okay, neutralization number, it is defined as the number of milligram of potassium hydroxide required to neutralize 1 gram of oil. Now KOH is, this is the base. Actually potassium hydroxide is the base. Now it is having a reaction with the acid, so this acidity is measured by using a base material, potassium hydroxide. Okay, so this is the neutralization number. Acidic oil increases the rate of corrosion, and oil should be a non-acidic in nature. This is now what are the desirable? Now these are the properties of these. Previous are 10 are the property. Now the difference between the properties of oil and desirable properties of oil. In exam, the question can be asked as a write the desirable properties of oil. Now what is the desirable property? First one, oil should be incompressible. Oil should have a sufficient lubricating property. Now it should have a satisfactory viscosity index. It should be a chemically stable. Pour point should be a high. Flash point should be a high. It should not be acidic. Good oxidation resistance. Then it should have a anti-wear and anti-rust property. It should be a non-toxic. It should have a good demulsibility. Now demulsibility, this is the property by virtue of which it gets separated from the water. If water is mixed inside the oil, then it get separated. This property is called as a demulsibility. Now next, there are various types of a pump. First one is the external gear pump. Now here you can see the driver gear and driven gear, external tooths are there. And this, now here animation is there, but animation is not working. Actually it is working, but I need to flip the screen, so I am skipping that part. Yes, when this gear rotate, then now here green color part you can see here. In a green color part, if these gears are rotating in a, now here driver gear is rotating in a clockwise direction, driven gear is rotating in a anti-clockwise direction. So now here whatever the green space you are seeing looking, now in that the vacuum is created. Because of that there is a suction, and this suction, these packets are filled with the hydraulic oil, and this is given out from the exit, and this is the delivery of from the external gear pump. Now what are the advantages of this external gear pump? Now here manual priming is not required. Priming is filling of the this casing with the oil. This is called as the priming, and it is not required in case of a external gear pump. Now it gives a constant delivery. Continuously packets are released, so it is giving constant delivery. Compact and light in weight. High volumetric efficiency. This is the advantage of the external gear pump. Disadvantage, liquid must be clean, otherwise it will damage the pump. Yes, mud or a slurry particle cannot be pumped by using this pump. Now there variable speed driver are required. Yes, one gear is rotating in a clockwise, another gear is rotating in an anti-clockwise, so there is a need of a variable speed drive. Then dry run can damage the pump. Dry run increases the friction between the gear, and there can be a possibility of a damage out to the pump. Now next thing is the internal gear pump. Internal gear pump, in this pump one external gear is pump is there, and outside there is an internal gear pump, internal gear is there. Now these are in match with each other. Now here below you can read the construction and working of the internal gear pump. Now this is having a one internal and external gear, one or two less teeth in a inner than the outer gear. This is the construction part. Speed of the inner gear is a faster. Inner gear rotates at a faster speed. Then inner and outer gear are separate by crescent seal. Now this is the crescent seal. It is used for the minimizing the friction, and also to reduce the to fill the gap between the external and internal gear. both the gear rotate in the same direction. Now in a previous case, in an external gear pump, the gear rotate in a opposite direction. Here in an internal gear pump, both the gear rotate in a same direction. Now here oil is drawn into the pump where gear begins to separate. Now here you can see in an inlet side where gear begin to separate. At that time suction is created because of the increase in volume. Oil is carried to the outlet through the space between the adjustance teeth and the between the adjustance teeth and the crescent seal. Okay, and this is carried towards the outlet. Now here, what are the advantage and disadvantage of the this internal gear pump? High pressure capacity and then the external gear pump, non-pulsating and self-priming, then only few part, easy maintenance and high reliability. Can run dry for a short period. Disadvantage. This is not suitable for a high speed. Only one bearing is used, therefore overhanging load act on the shaft now, which decreases the life of the bearing. Now the gear these are the not symmetric, this is non-symmetrical, so non-symmetrical decreases the life of the bearing because of the non-symmetry there is a increase in a friction, and this friction decreases the life of the bearing. This is the disadvantage of an internal gear pump. Next one is the lobe pump. In a lobe pump, now here uh, the here you can see driver lobe and driven lobe. Now again this is rotating in the opposite direction. One is in the clockwise, another one is the anti-clockwise direction. These are constantly in mesh with each other. Now here also when there is a increase in a gap between the lobes. Now here upper diagram shows the three lobes and lower diagram shows the two lobe. There are these two types of a lobe pump. Now here when this lobe rotate, the gap between these lobe when increases there is a suction occur, and when the gap between the lobe decreases then delivery occurs, and that is the outlet of the lobe pump. Now what are the what is the construction? Again we will see. It is a rotary external gear pump. It differs from the conventional gear pump in the way the gears are driven. In a gear pump, one gears drive the other. In a lobe pump, both the lobes are driven by separate drive from the outside of the pump casing. Advantages. Now, what are the advantages? Gear pumps are simple in structure, convenient to in manufacture, cheap in cost, compact in size, light in weight. This is the advantage. Again, can handle the slurry, solids and the paste, etc. Okay, reliable in operation, corrosive resistant, insensitive in a insensitive to the contamination. Okay, so these are the various advantages of the lobe pump. Disadvantage, require timing gear. Next require two seals, only suitable for a viscous liquid. So these are the disadvantage of the lobe pump. Now next one is the gerotor. Next we will make a short video only so that it is easier for looking it. It is getting lengthy, so I will stop here. We will see in this in next lecture.